Science behind fire, from combustion to ignition. Fire has been a part of human life since the beginning of time. It is a powerful and mesmerizing force that has the ability to both help and harm us. But have you ever wondered about the science behind fire? How does it start? How does it spread? What makes it so dangerous? In this video we will explore the science behind fire, from combustion to ignition. We will take a closer look at the chemical reactions that occur during combustion, the factors that influence fire behavior, and the importance of fire safety. Whether you are a curious science enthusiast, a firefighter, or just someone who wants to learn more about this fascinating topic, this blog post is for you. So, grab a chair, sit back, and let's explore the science behind fire together. 1. What is fire and how does it work? Fire is a natural phenomenon that has fascinated humans for thousands of years. It is a chemical reaction that occurs when fuel, heat, and oxygen come together in a process called combustion. The fuel can be any combustible material, such as wood, paper, gasoline, or propane. The heat source can come from a match, a lighter, or even the sun. Oxygen is the final component required for combustion to take place, as it allows the fuel to react with the heat source and release energy in the form of heat and light. The science behind fire is complex, and understanding the basics of combustion is essential for fire safety and prevention. The heat produced by the initial combustion reaction can then ignite nearby fuel, creating a chain reaction that produces flames and more heat. This is why it's important to keep flammable materials away from potential ignition sources, and to be mindful of the heat generated by things like stovetops, candles, and space heaters. There are several factors that can affect the behavior of fire, including the type of fuel being burned, the amount of oxygen present, and the intensity of the heat source. For example, a fire fueled by wood will produce different colors and levels of heat than a fire fueled by propane. Understanding these factors can help us better predict and control fire behavior in a variety of settings, from campfires to industrial fires. In conclusion, fire is a fascinating and powerful force of nature that can be both useful and dangerous. Understanding the science behind fire is essential for staying safe and preventing accidents, and can also help us appreciate the beauty and complexity of this natural phenomenon. 2. The three elements of fire: fuel, oxygen, and heat. Fire is a fascinating phenomenon that has captured humans' attention for thousands of years. But what is fire exactly? At its most basic level, fire is the result of a chemical reaction that occurs between fuel, oxygen, and heat. These three elements are known as the fire triangle, and without any one of them, a fire cannot start or continue to burn. The fuel element in the fire triangle refers to any material that can be burned, such as wood, paper, gasoline, or natural gas. Different fuels have different burning properties, which can affect the intensity and duration of the fire. For example, wood burns slowly and steadily, while gasoline burns quickly and explosively. The oxygen element is equally important in the fire triangle. It is the air we breathe that contains oxygen, and it is this oxygen that combines with the fuel to create the fire. Without oxygen, combustion cannot occur, and the fire will quickly die out. This is why it is often recommended to use a fire extinguisher to put out a fire, as it removes the oxygen from the equation and cuts off the fire's fuel source. Finally, the heat element is what brings the fuel and oxygen together to create the fire. Heat can come from many sources, including friction, electrical sparks, and the sun's rays. Once the fuel and oxygen are heated to a certain temperature, they combine and create a chemical reaction that produces flames and smoke. Understanding the three elements of fire is crucial for preventing fires and staying safe in emergency situations. By controlling the fuel, oxygen, and heat, we can minimize the risk of fires starting and spreading, and help to keep ourselves and our communities safe. 3. The chemistry of combustion, the fire triangle. The chemistry of combustion is an essential aspect of understanding fire, and it can be summarized in the fire triangle. The fire triangle is a simple model that describes the three key components necessary for a fire to ignite and burn: heat, fuel, and oxygen. Heat is the first element of the fire triangle, as it is required to raise the temperature of the fuel to its ignition point. The ignition point is the temperature at which a fuel will start to burn spontaneously. Once the fuel has reached this temperature, it will generate its own heat and continue to burn. The second element of the fire triangle is fuel. Fuel is any material that can burn, and it can be in the form of a solid, liquid, or gas. Examples include wood, gasoline, and propane. Each fuel has its own ignition point, which is the temperature at which it will start to burn. The third and final element of the fire triangle is oxygen. Oxygen is required for combustion to occur because it is the oxidizing agent that reacts with the fuel to release energy in the form of heat and light. Without oxygen, the fire cannot continue to burn and will eventually extinguish. Understanding the fire triangle is crucial for preventing and controlling fires. By removing one or more of the elements of the fire triangle, it is possible to prevent a fire from igniting or to extinguish a fire that is already burning. For example, spraying water onto a fire can remove heat and oxygen, while using a fire extinguisher can remove oxygen and fuel. 4. How fuel type affects fire behavior. The type of fuel used greatly affects the behavior of a fire. Different fuels burn differently because they have different chemical compositions. Some fuels ignite easily, while others require a higher temperature to burn. For instance, wood is a common fuel source for fires, and it can be classified as a solid fuel. It burns slowly, and it is easy to control. On the other hand, gasoline is a liquid fuel. It ignites quickly and can cause an explosive fire if not handled properly. Gasoline is not the only fuel that can be explosive. Propane, natural gas, and other flammable gases can cause explosive fires if not managed correctly. These fuels have a low ignition temperature, so they ignite easily and are difficult to control. The size and shape of the fuel also affect fire behavior. Small, loose fuels, such as sawdust or paper, ignite easily and burn quickly. Larger fuels, such as logs or branches, take longer to ignite and burn at a slower rate. In conclusion, understanding how different fuels behave is crucial for preventing and controlling fires. Whether you are dealing with a small campfire or a large industrial fire, knowing the properties of the fuel you are using is essential for managing the situation and keeping everyone safe. 5. The role of oxygen in fire ignition and propagation. Oxygen plays a crucial role in fire ignition and propagation. It's one of the three components of the fire triangle, along with fuel and heat. Fire needs all three components to exist and propagate. Oxygen is the oxidizing agent in fire, meaning that it facilitates the process of combustion by reacting with the fuel to release energy in the form of heat and light. During the ignition phase of a fire, heat is applied to the fuel until it reaches its ignition temperature. At this point, the fuel begins to break down and release flammable gases. These gases then react with oxygen in the air, resulting in the release of even more heat and light. This chain reaction is what we see as fire. Once a fire has been ignited, oxygen is needed to sustain the reaction. Without it, the fire will eventually die out. This is why firefighters use various methods to remove oxygen from a burning area when they are trying to put out a fire. By removing the oxygen, they can stop the reaction and extinguish the flames. It's important to note that the amount of oxygen present in the air can also affect the propagation of a fire. In areas with low oxygen levels, flames may not burn as brightly or may even flicker out. This is why it's important to have proper ventilation in areas where fires are likely to occur. By ensuring a steady supply of oxygen, you can help prevent the spread of flames and keep everyone safe. 6. The different types of heat and their impact on fire. Heat plays a crucial role in the science of fire. Without it, there would be no fire. There are different types of heat that affect fire in different ways. Understanding these different types of heat is essential to understanding the science behind fire. The first type of heat is convection. Convection is the transfer of heat through a fluid medium, such as air or water. In a fire, convection occurs when the heat from the flames heats the surrounding air, causing it to rise. As the hot air rises, cooler air is pulled in to replace it, creating a cycle that feeds the flames and keeps the fire burning. The second type of heat is radiation. Radiation is the transfer of heat through electromagnetic waves. In a fire, radiation occurs when the heat from the flames is radiated outwards in all directions. This can cause nearby objects, such as walls or furniture, to catch on fire. The third type of heat is conduction. Conduction is the transfer of heat through direct contact. In a fire, conduction occurs when the flames come into contact with a solid object, such as a piece of wood or a piece of furniture. The heat from the flames is transferred to the object, causing it to heat up and potentially catch fire. Understanding the different types of heat and their impact on fire is essential for fire safety. By understanding how fire works, we can take steps to prevent fires from occurring and keep ourselves and our communities safe. 7. How temperature affects the behavior of fire. Temperature plays a vital role in the behavior of fire. Fire requires a certain amount of heat energy to initiate and sustain combustion. The minimum temperature required to start a fire is known as the ignition temperature. This temperature varies depending on the type of fuel being burned. For example, paper ignites at a lower temperature than steel. As the temperature of a fire increases, it can affect the behavior of the flames. When the temperature is low, the flames are yellow and relatively cool. However, as the temperature increases, the flames turn blue and become much hotter. The blue flame indicates that the fuel is being burned more efficiently, producing more heat and less smoke. The temperature also affects the way the fire spreads. When the temperature is low, the flames tend to spread slowly and are relatively easy to control. However, as the temperature increases, the flames can spread rapidly, making it difficult to extinguish the fire. Furthermore, the temperature can impact the type of fuel that can be burned. Some fuels require a higher temperature to ignite, while others can ignite at lower temperatures. For instance, gasoline requires a relatively low temperature to ignite, while coal requires a much higher temperature. Understanding the science behind fire and how temperature affects its behavior is crucial for firefighters and anyone working with flammable materials. It can help to prevent fires from starting and control them quickly when they do occur. 8. Understanding the ignition process, how fires start. To understand how fires start, it's important to understand the ignition process. Fires are started through a combination of heat, fuel, and oxygen. These three components make up what is known as the fire triangle. When all three components are present in the right conditions, a fire can ignite. Heat can come from a variety of sources, such as electrical currents, friction, and sparks. Fuel can be anything that will burn, such as wood, gasoline, or paper. Oxygen is present in the air around us and is needed to sustain combustion. Once a fire has ignited, it can continue to burn as long as the three components of the fire triangle remain present. This is why it's important to have fire safety measures in place, such as fire extinguishers, sprinkler systems, and smoke alarms. By detecting a fire early and taking action to remove any one of the three components of the fire triangle, the fire can be extinguished before it spreads and causes significant damage. Understanding the ignition process is essential for preventing fires and implementing effective fire safety measures. By being aware of how fires start and spread, we can take the necessary steps to protect ourselves and our property. 9. The role of heat sources in fire ignition. Heat is an essential element when it comes to fire. It is a necessary component in the fire triangle, the other two being fuel and oxygen, and plays a vital role in fire ignition. Heat sources can come from a variety of sources including electrical appliances, open flames, friction, and even the sun's rays. Heat causes the fuel to reach its ignition temperature, and once this happens, the fuel will start to release gases that combine with oxygen to create a flame. The ignition temperature differs depending on the type of fuel being used. Some materials may ignite at a lower temperature while others require a higher temperature to reach their ignition point. It's important to understand the role of heat sources in fire ignition and take necessary precautions to prevent fires from starting. This includes properly maintaining electrical appliances, keeping flammable materials away from heat sources, and ensuring that proper fire safety measures are in place. By understanding the science behind fire, we can take steps to prevent it from occurring and keep ourselves and our surroundings safe. 10. Fire prevention and safety measures to reduce the risk of ignition. Fire prevention and safety measures are crucial to ensure that the risk of ignition is minimized as much as possible. There are several practices that can be put in place to reduce the risk of fire in homes and other buildings. One of the most important steps is to install smoke detectors in every room and ensure that they are in good working condition at all times. Smoke detectors can detect fire early enough, giving you ample time to evacuate and call the fire department. Another important step to prevent fires is to ensure that all heating appliances are kept away from flammable materials such as paper, clothing, and curtains. For instance, portable heaters should be placed away from furniture, carpets, and other combustible materials. Also, it is important to avoid overloading electrical outlets with too many appliances or electronics, as this can cause electrical fires. In addition, it is important to have fire extinguishers readily available in case of a small fire. Fire extinguishers are an essential tool that can help to put out small fires before they spread out of control. Fire drills should also be conducted regularly to ensure that everyone in the building knows what to do in case of a fire emergency. Finally, it is important to have a fire escape plan in place. This plan should include designated escape routes, meeting points, and instructions on how to evacuate safely. In conclusion, by implementing these fire prevention and safety measures, the risk of ignition can be greatly reduced, and lives and property can be saved. We hope you enjoyed our video about the science behind fire. Understanding the science of fire is fascinating, and it can help you to appreciate the incredible power of this natural phenomenon. From combustion to ignition, we've explained the different stages of fire and the factors that can influence them. We hope that you've learned something new from reading this blog post and that you now have a better understanding of the science behind fire. Stay safe, and remember to handle fire with caution and care.